All right, welcome back in to what we are still calling the Dependable Dad Podcast, but we'll very likely need a new name here. But I don't know what that's going to be. So for right now, we're just going to call it that. I don't even know what episode number this is, but we're rolling. But it has been a bit. Full disclosure, summer was a little crazy. Summers are no longer relaxing with 3 small children, and the idea that was going to have an hour of uninterrupted time in my house to record a podcast was a little bit foolish. So with that, just kind of put it on the back burner for a little bit, but also spent a lot of time thinking about it. And as I've come back, I'm excited to play around with the structure. And the last couple episodes that we did with client Remy, were my two favorites in terms of how they went. But Remy, being a very busy guy, has not been able to kind of find time. But I also wanted to bring in a female perspective, a mom perspective, since the majority of my clients are moms, majority of my followers and network are moms, and I live a little bit in this state as what somebody has called me, the primary caregiver, or what I call the default parent. Just by the nature of my job, I kind of do a little bit more of the catching of the kids during this current season of life. I'm sure there will be a season where that's not the case, but right now that's the case. But still want to bring that in, and I think it's particularly helpful with what we're going to talk about today. So I have my client Amy here.
Hello.
You can say hi, Amy. Yeah, I've been talking already, and I haven't even let you say hi. So Amy is here. If you follow me on social media, she is the Amy from one of the more popular posts that I've ever done, telling Amy's story. And I think I mentioned this to you when I told my assistant Olivia that you were going to be joining me. She was like, the Amy, like the Amy. And I was like, yeah, that Amy, like the famous Amy, is going to come on and be part of it. So Amy and I have been working, I mean, like a couple of years now, right? At least 2 years. I feel like it's
a long time.
I've been working together, and just a great human being, and excited to have her on. And full disclosure, let's just put this out there. We recorded an episode together, a full episode. It was fantastic. We will circle back to that topic, but technology, it didn't record my end of it. And so while Amy is absolutely here, and I'll tell a little bit about what her role is going to be, from an hour-long episode, probably 45 minutes of it was just dead air because it didn't record my end of it. Amy's part was great, but the idea that I was going to kind of dub back in and time that up well and remember anything that I said is a little bit silly. So that was a bummer. We did great. It was a good little tester for us. It was
like a dress rehearsal, really.
So while this is the first episode that you are hearing with Amy, this is our second one together, and we will circle back with that topic because, again, I thought the episode was really good and it had a lot of value in it, and so we'll definitely circle back to that, but wanted to give ourselves a little break so that it doesn't feel like, did I say this already? Because that's kind of at least how it goes for me. So Amy is going to be taking on the role, if you listen to the couple episodes that Remy did, that Remy had, which was kind of co-host, and the idea that I have in my head is Amy is a really good asker of questions. She can add great perspective, but she can also kind of be a good sounding board for me, because sometimes when I'm just talking to my computer, I'm making sense in my own head and I'm not actually making sense, and so she can tell me that I'm not making sense, and she won't hold back, and she'll let me know.
I will not hold back.
So yeah, she's going to be kind of your ears and eyes and voice in this episode. That's kind of how I envision it. Is she is the listener, because she knows the topic that we're talking about, but she knows nothing about what I'm gonna say. So
it's a really fun adventure for me.
Yeah. You never know where we're gonna go today. So, with that said, that's kind of the intro to Amy. And so then now I want to dive into what it is that we're going to talk about today. And so the format of, last thing, housekeeping bit, format of the podcast going forward. This is how I envision the dominant format of the podcast to be. The majority of the episodes I would love to be with me and Amy trying to dive deep into topics and conversations and tips and things like that I oftentimes have those conversations with clients. I've had a good chunk of these conversations with Amy at different junctures of time, and try to go a little bit deeper and have this be a real resource to people. That I will also have other coaches on, like I have in the past on occasion, and I have another idea that I'm not going to disclose yet, but it's in the back of my mind, something I'd like to do, but I don't want to say anything until I'm sure that I'm going to go that direction. But this is going to be hopefully the dominant form of the podcast going forward. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of it, Amy.
Of course.
And they don't know it yet, but I know that you're going to be great at this because I've seen you do an episode. And I think you're going to... Yeah,
my coffee hasn't hit yet, so...
Yes. Well, this is 8. I've been up for 3.5 hours now. Like, I'm basically ready for lunch at this juncture. This is...
Yeah. I have an older child, and today is a new school day for her, so... I think she is downstairs watching Full House, like the original Full House.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you as a parent. Like,
it's just so innocent, but it's really cute coming downstairs and seeing, because she's 9 and she's been pretty self-sufficient since she was 3, as far as getting herself up and making herself breakfast and kind of doing her own thing. Because my old job, I would have to leave the house before she was awake, and you guys don't know my husband, but Jeff does. He's a bit of a sleeper, so Em would have to wake him up to bring her to daycare. So she would have to make herself breakfast, so she had things that she could do on her own. So yeah, she's now 9, so she's driving us to work now.
Oh my
she's old
gosh.
enough.
She looks like she could be 12. Like I saw her recently, and I was like, and that's the thing for me. The longer I do this, and the longer, like, seeing the like other people's kids or relationships or whatever, seeing them grow, and you don't really notice it your own kids, but like when I see, like, oh man, like your kid, she's 9, or other kids are graduating college, like of clients' kids are graduating college or graduating high school, and I'm like, I met you when you were, or the thing, and I think we've talked about this. Megan and I have been together and around, like, it's been, I know it's a similar thing with John, but like, when we first got together, it was the summer of 2011. So we're 12 years. Some of her cousins weren't born yet. Yeah. Like, I've literally been around for their entire lives. Like, one of them just graduated from college, and when I got there, she was in, like, 4th grade. Yeah. It's just like, this is crazy. This is unacceptable. Like,
I mean, because somehow they're growing, and yet we are staying the exact same maturity level.
Yeah. Well, we did the same. We never grow up. This is, and I want to get into what we're talking about, but this is, I think, good for people to get. We have a class that Amy does every week called Glute Camp, which is, as you would imagine, it's a lower body exercise. And we've had this class now, like, for 18 months. Like, this has been around for a long time. And I'm relatively proud of us that we've been able to navigate this for as long as we have without the potential for us to go off the rails. But it was, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago when somebody said something. I think it was you. Was it you?
It was me. And it was totally accidental. It did not mean anything. But as soon as it came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm 12.
But you said something of like, we got to do more butt stuff.
We have to do an hour of butt stuff.
It was just like the fact that and it was gone. The 30 minutes of adults during that class just like taking that to its full, and I was like, we never grow up. Like we are still all 13 years old, even though most of us have kids, and it was just like we went off the rails real quick there. So, and
that's still how I ask John and our workout friend Matt if they want to come on Thursdays. You guys want to do butt stuff with me? John says no a lot. It's weird.
Oh my god!
Our audience is like,
what is happening? No, it's so bad. The best one was Steph. So Steph and her husband come oftentimes, and they have like a 1-year-old who goes to the nursery upstairs in the gym, and so like the pinnacle, the cherry on top of where we took all of this to was like me and my husband drop our kid off at daycare so we can go do butt stuff with a bunch of other people. It was just like, okay, we've reached the top of this.
Yeah, top that stuff.
Yep. Oh jeez. Well, that's the maturity level that you're coming into. So now we're actually going to have a very real conversation, an important conversation, but a little bit of brevity for you to start the podcast here. This is, I wouldn't get this if I'm just talking to myself in the wall. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, dear. All right. So, totally changing gears. Like, could not be more opposite to what we've been talking about. I'm going to tell a story. All right. Because you've experienced this, I know. Couple decides that they're going to get in shape together. All right, we're gonna go on a diet together. We're gonna do 75 hard. We're gonna do workout plan, whatever. We're gonna lose some weight. Couple's gonna do it together. Keep each other accountable. We're gonna do it. Wife, like, plans everything out, is as perfect as can be, does every workout, eaten flawlessly, tracks every little thing, and in 2 weeks loses a pound, which, to be fair, that's good progress, right? Let's just talk about like half a pound to a pound a week is what's reasonable progress. But her husband skips like 3 of the workouts, has 1 salad, and loses 5 pounds. What the hell, right? Like this is the experience of a lot of people. Like, I'm doing a lot of women. I'm doing everything right, and it's just so easy for this jamoke over here to just like, eat 1 piece of chicken and have a 6-pack. Like, this is dumb. Now, I don't want to dismiss, right? I have plenty of male clients who this has been challenging for. Not dismissing that, but the experience, I think, of women is that it's harder, and quite honestly, it is. It is harder for women to lose weight than it is for men, and this is not anecdotal, right? This is not just experiential, but it's the reality. I've coached over 100 women. I don't know the numbers, but it might be over 200. I have no idea, but lots of women through this process. My wife had 3 kids in 18 months, and so had to go through this and experience this. It's a real battle and struggle to do this. So I want to start with, if you're a dude listening to this, this is worth listening to so that you can understand and better talk to your wife and not just be like, just try harder, honey. Like, that's not a helpful thing. If you're a woman listening to this, this is for you. All right, because the hard reality is that it is harder for women to lose weight than it is for men. Generally, I'm gonna speak in broad strokes here. All right, everybody has their own things, and I'm not talking about the specifics here. However, there is hope and a plan, and that's what I'm going to get to here. So there's really 4 reasons. My fingers are not on the camera. 4 reasons why it's harder for women to lose weight than men. 2 of them are more physiological, and just numbers based, and 2 of them are more experiential and mindset based. And so I'm going to come in through, and there's a bonus 5th. Remind me for the bonus 5th.
All right.
The bonus 5th, though, is not universal, but it's a common story that I'm told. So, number 1, physiologically, it is harder for women to lose weight because women are generally smaller than men. Okay? I have a 6'1", 240-pound man. All right, let's call him Henry. Don't know why. All right. So Henry, 6'1", 240, right? And he would like to be, maybe 200 pounds. Right? 6'1", 240-pound Henry versus 5'2", 150-pound Hallie. We're going to go double H's. All right. Hallie at 5'2", 150 pounds is going to require less calories in a day to just exist. Mm-hmm. Okay. The biggest portion of what we call our metabolism, or the calories that we burn in the day, it's like 70+% of the calories that we burn in a day is called our basal metabolic rate, or our resting metabolic rate. It's the calories that we burn if we literally laid perfectly still in our bed all day, didn't do anything at all. Like if you were a veg, right? You were put under anesthesia or something like that. These are the calories that you burn to get your organs to function, to support your muscle, all of these types of things. That's 70+% of your calories. The vast majority of your calories that you burn are based on how big you are, your size. And so this is where people talk about genetics, right? Like, I'm genetically a larger person, so I'm going to burn more calories. So our friend Henry, to maintain his weight, could probably eat 1,000 more calories a day than Hallie. He just could. Mm-hmm. And so for Hallie to try to get into a calorie deficit, which is the way for her to lose weight, she has less room and still be eating a reasonable amount of food, like more than a toddler, and be able to stay full and satisfied and to live her life. Mm-hmm. So again, I want to do specific numbers here. So I'm going to pull this up. I had it on my thing. So let me just see this. So let's just say, for instance, okay, Hallie, or let's do Henry here. So let's say Henry wants to get to be about 200 pounds. All right, and I'm going to throw numbers out here, but just for simplicity's purposes. If Henry wants to be about 200 pounds, he could eat 2,400 calories in a day at his current weight and be in a calorie deficit, and he'll get there in a period of time. Mm-hmm. He could absolutely do that. 2,500 calories, that's a calorie deficit for him. Yeah. That would be a calorie surplus for Hallie. Hallie would gain weight with 2,500 calories.
And I guess that's kind of a significant calorie surplus for someone of Hallie's size.
She probably maintains her weight somewhere around 2,000 to 2,100 calories. And now there's other components to this, right, that we have to talk about. 150 pounds is not the same thing across the board, right? I've said before, like, I weigh the same amount today as I did when I was in my worst shape. And so we'll talk about what we do about this here in a second. But she's probably somewhere in that range, particularly if she's trying to lose a little bit of body fat, right? She's probably somewhere in that range. So she's going to need to eat 1,600 to be in the same calorie deficit as Henry. Mm-hmm. That's an 800 calorie difference. Henry can eat 800 calories a day more than Hallie, and lose the same amount of weight. That's just harder.
It's just harder.
That's just harder. There's not as much room for flexibility or error. The margins are much thinner for women because you just don't have as much room on either side.
Yeah. And I think if we are kind of sticking with the married couple or the couple who are doing it together, if they are living together.
Yeah. And
one of them is preparing all the meals, you're not really thinking about portion size being that drastically different as you're plating it up because I do all the cooking and I do all the plating. I always serve myself less than John, but that's just because I eat less than John just naturally. Mm-hmm. But I'm not looking at, am I making sure that he has an extra 800 calories now if we're using the same, digits as we are for Henry and Hallie.
Well, and
so I think that also comes into play. Like if she's watching him eating this extra 800 calories, that does something to you mentally.
100%. So that's what I was going to get to. And it's usually not 800 calories of whatever it is that you're eating.
Right.
It's not going to be. He gets the extra snack. He can have the treat and still make the progress, right? He could have 800 calories is like 3 donuts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
lot.
you could eat everything exactly the same and have, I mean, I just did this stupid ice cream thing. That's like most of a pint of Ben & Jerry's. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that he should do that or whatever, but like he's got that much more margin than Hallie does. Which is why it's easier. Now, that doesn't mean that Hallie can't do it, right? That doesn't mean that you, like 1,600 calories a day, particularly if you're thinking about the composition of your food and you're trying to be a little bit higher quality, less processed with your food for the most part, right? Not 100%, but that allows you to eat more food, stay more full, right? 500 calories of sweet potatoes is going to make you a lot more full than 500 calories of donuts.
Yes.
So you can eat more volume of food and stay full if you're making some more, higher quality choices. That's one of the benefits of it. But it gives you less room particularly for those treats, which are the things that allow us to stay on track as long as we might like to, because we can't be perfectly adherent all the time. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple things. That's one of the challenges. Is just you have to eat less calories than oftentimes the male counterpart, and that leaves you less margin for error. So and a lot of this is just genetics. It's just the nature of it. And so some of this you can't combat, but some of it, the thing that you can do, and I touched on this at the very beginning, the thing that you can do, the only thing that you can do to increase your basal metabolic rate or the calories that you burn at rest, the only thing that you can do is to build muscle. Because if you hold more muscle requires more calories to preserve than fat does. So if I am 150 pounds and I have 100 pounds of lean body mass, right? Of lean body mass, and then 50 pounds of fat, as an example, versus I'm making up numbers, versus 120 pounds of lean body mass, right? At the same weight of 150. Now I only have 30 pounds of fat, but I have 20 more pounds of muscle. I'm going to burn more calories at rest than I would. I weigh the same amount. Mm-hmm. But I have more muscle. I'm going to burn more calories at rest. Now, is it oodles and oodles and oodles? No, but it could be a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you do. And so I say all the time, I weigh exactly the same now as I did, plus minus a couple of pounds, as I did when I was in my worst shape ever. Like the crux moment where I'm like, I gotta get my crap together and do something about this. Now, I went down and then built back up over years and years. It didn't just like switch. But I can eat significantly more calories now and maintain my weight or be in a deficit than somebody else or myself even at that place. Like when I did my little mini cut in the spring, and I don't track my calories because I've done it long enough that I kind of know what it is, and I have no interest in it. But I did it for one day. I weighed my food, and I did it for one day, and I tracked my calories. And I ate something like 2,800 calories in that day, and I was in a deficit.
Yeah.
I was like, which is like, people are like, are you kidding me?
That's insane.
But that's because, again, I have more muscle on me than the average person, and also I'm more active than the average person is, and so that can increase. That's kind of part 2A, and we've talked. We'll do a whole other episode on walking, but if I can walk more, then that's also going to increase the amount of calories that I burn in the day, which gives me a little bit more margin for error. So a sedentary Henry, right, versus a really moving, active Hallie, right, that number is going to get a little bit close together. If Henry's walking 4,000 steps a day and Hallie's walking 12, right, those numbers are going to shift a little bit. So build muscle and move more. So how do we build muscle? And the reason I wanted to talk about it, and I thought about it, is because you and I talked about this yesterday.
We did.
And man, I'm not brief. I just realized how far we are. We haven't even. We might not. This might be a 2-part episode. How do you build muscle? But I'm gonna be. We can do a whole episode on this piece of it. But the question is like, all right, if I build muscle, am I going to get bulky? Right. That's the question. So lift heavy weights. Right. That's how you build muscle. Lift heavy weights. Eat protein. Heavy is relative. Okay. What's heavy for me is not necessarily heavy for a power lifter, and what's heavy for somebody else who's just starting out might feel light to me. So heavy is relative. All it means is like at the end, you're like, I don't know if I could have had another couple of reps with good form. Like my form was probably going to go off the rails if I did 1 or 2 more, but that was hard. Like that was challenging. The particular reps or scheme or whatever, like anywhere 6 to 12. All right. I'm not going to get nuts with it. I thought about this when I was thinking about today. You did P90X at one point, right?
No, but John did. So
John did. So you've heard it, and it's still in my head. P90X and his Tony's thing was always like when he was talking about reps, he would be like 8 to 10 size, 12 to 15 tone, and I'm like, that's BS, right? You don't. Yeah. The rep scheme doesn't do anything. Building muscle is building muscle. There's value, and I did a whole episode on. I think it's the third part of the workout series about the different rep schemes and things like that, right? Each of the different. If you're lower rep, you're going to be focusing more on strength. Middle reps, more on hypertrophy. Higher reps, muscle endurance. They all have value, okay? But most of the time, somewhere between 6 and 12 reps is going to be fine. But the idea is. And this is a post for next week too. You're not going to accidentally get too muscular.
Yeah.
Okay. All you need to do is go to the gym and look at all the dudes in there trying to get jacked and can't freaking do it. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to grow my shoulders for 5 years, and I've put on a half an inch to my shoulders. Right? It is not. You're not going to accidentally get yoked. It's like and this is the post for next week, which will probably be up by the time I do this. It's like not wanting to learn to swim because you're concerned you're going to be Michael Phelps. It's not a concern. Like, it's not going to happen. Now, could you build muscle and then you start to feel a little bit bulky? Well, if you're feeling bulky, right, that's going to be due to the nutrition. You do have to be in that calorie deficit, right? You build muscle. Your training doesn't really change based on your goal. Mm-hmm. And I actually had this conversation yesterday with another coach who I have a lot of respect for. He posted a video of him doing Bulgarian split squats, which everybody hates, right? With some heavy dumbbells and then chains on his shoulders. And I was like, sheesh, like, good for you, man. And he was like, yeah, I'm like already sore. And I was like, yeah. I was like, how much is that? I was just curious. I was like, that looks like a lot. Like those, and he was like, those are 70s plus 40 pounds of chains. And I was like, that's a lot of weight, man. He's like, yeah, I might get a little bit too bulky though. And I'm like, bro, you're a coach. Like, you're a coach that knows better than this. I was like, dude, and this is not a self-aggrandizing thing, but I wanted to say to him, I was like, I'm smaller than you are, and I lift more weight on that exercise. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's not like me trying to big myself up. That's just an exercise I happen to be pretty strong at. But like, lifting more weight doesn't automatically make you bulkier. Like, he's not gonna get more. I'm not more bulky than him because I can just lift more weight than him. I can lift more weight than a lot of people that are bigger than me. Mm-hmm. On a lot of exercises. When I went to Seattle, there was a dude there who was 6'3", just massive, animal, dude. And he joked about it because I outlifted him in the workout that we did together on every exercise. And he was like, bro, like, what the heck? Like, he like went home and he said, I had to tell my wife that I got outlifted by some skinny kid. And I was like, oh, thanks, bud. That makes me feel really great. It's like some skinny kid. But like to him, I am, right? He's like 6'3", 230 pounds of muscle, right? It's not, you're not going to just accidentally get bulky by lifting heavy weights. So go lift some heavy things. Women, you're not going to get massive unless you intentionally try to.
Yeah. I know I've bulked up a lot in my shoulders, but it's one of those things like, it's the types of workouts that I do. I need that kind of a muscle. It's almost like my body was like, you do a lot of barbell work because I do the pump class. Yeah. And you rest the barbell along there a lot. So it's like my body's like, you need a little bit extra there because that hurts unless you have some muscle and padding. But that's where I see it the most, is this area right here. And it's really like when I'm flexing, I'm like, I am huge. But then if I'm not flexing, I'm like, I look normal.
Yeah, you look normal. Well, and again, it's just you're gonna put on muscle, but like then when you lean out, as you lose the fat, then you have the toned look, right? Versus just becoming a smaller version of yourself, right? Building muscle, in addition to making it easier to lose weight, it also gives you the ending result that you're looking for, which is what most like everybody talks to me about Carrie Underwood's legs. Everybody's like, I want Carrie Underwood's legs. And I'm like, you and the rest of the world. I'm like, that girl is muscular, right? Like the reason everybody loves Carrie Underwood's legs because you can see the outlines of her quads at the bottom of them, right? They're not just like, they're not smooth. I'm like, she's got friggin' muscles. Like that girl is muscular. She's lean as well, but she's got muscle. Like that girl lifts heavy things. I've talked to her coach. Like that girl is strong. So go lift heavy things. You're not gonna get toned by. It's like the Office episode. You with Michael out in the yard, right? And he pulls the 2-pound dumbbells out of his trunk. He's like, I'm not looking for size. I'm just looking for tone. You know, it's like you're not. This is the fallacy. Like you don't get toned by lifting lighter weights for 100 reps. Like you get toned by losing fat and lifting heavy things.
That's been the conversation for as long as I've been exercising. It's more reps, less weight, more reps. And that's how you're going to get toned. So I think that it's untraining a part of our brain that has learned all this stuff. But it goes back to all the nutrition stuff as well. It's untraining all of the things that Weight Watchers tried teaching you, or that, you know, the keto diet tries teaching you. They're all trying just to spin their own narrative and hoping that you grab onto them because that's how they stay in existence.
I had a conversation with a coach about this the other day where I did something about like you don't need another detox or a juice cleanse. Like that's what your liver and kidneys are for. And the idea is people create problems so that they can sell the solution to them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the things that have worked are the same things that have worked. We just have to be patient and let them work. Yeah. So, pretty simply.
Be more active. So, eat higher quality protein.
Yep. So, build muscle, eat protein, and walk more. That's going to be, and lift heavy things. Big takeaway. That's it. I think we're going to be able to go through these next ones a little bit quicker, hopefully, because that was a long A block. Here we go. Part 2. Number 2. Reason number 2. Actually, all 3 of these are mental. So, number 2, everything is relative. Okay, it's all about percentages. So, take Hallie and Henry again. They both lose 15 pounds, as an example. That's great progress. Okay? For Hallie, though, that would be a full 10% of her weight. Whereas for Henry, that's 6% of her weight, of his weight. Right? So for Henry to get the same relative weight loss, he'd have to lose 24 pounds, 240, 10%, 24 pounds. So it can feel like, oh, I'm not making as much progress as so-and-so, but Henry's trying to go from 240 down to 200, Hallie's trying to go from 150 to 135, right? He might lose raw numbers, more weight, but he had more weight to lose. And so if we get into the comparison game of like, oh, who lost more like raw numbers, again, going back to like it's easier for him, but part of that is because he's got more to lose. And so a better way to think about this is not just looking at the raw number on the scale, because oftentimes women think, oh, I got to be 125, right? Like Hallie's probably got a goal weight in her head of 125, 5'2", almost guarantee it. Like I've talked to so many, 125, 130 maybe, right? She probably, if she's lifting heavy weights, all of the like Instagram models and all the people that she's looking at, and she's like, I would like, if I could copy paste my body on that person probably weighs 135, 140.
At least.
Because they have muscle, right? We've talked about, which weighs more than fat, right? And they're leaner, but they also have some flexibility in their life, and they're also probably photoshopped and posed on Instagram, if we're being honest about it. But the idea is, and that's a different conversation entirely. But the idea is we want to be not solely focused on the number on the scale, particularly in this case, because we have less raw number oftentimes to lose to get to where we want to be. We want to think about this as a percentage of our weight that we're losing. The same example happens when we're lifting weights. So somebody goes, the other day, somebody was like brand new to class. No, it was my mother. Who's starting to strength train, that's another thing I'm so proud. Yeah, it's been a long time. So it's the same thing with Megan, right? Like I don't love to like cross. I want to like be son and be husband, right? Like it's weird to be trainer, but at the same time she asked me and I was like, yeah, like I'll coach you. Like I'd love to coach you. But it's an odd thing. But so my mom is lifting weights, and it's like my mom has never lifted more than 5-pound dumbbells like ever in her life. My mom's worked out forever. She's like never lifted more than 5-pound dumbbells, but she wants to get stronger. She's getting, a little bit older. She's in, she's turned 60. She's like, I want to be able to get down on the floor with the grandkids, all this kind of stuff. Love that. Right. Again, I'm thinking of 9,000 other topics that we could talk about right now, but,
of course.
So she went, like it was her second week doing her program, and I was like, all right, you did really, really well with the 10-pound dumbbells last week. Like, let's try the 15. She's like, why are these so much harder? I'm like, well, it's only 5 pounds. And I'm like, well, it's a 50% increase.
Yeah.
That'd be like me going from 220 or 200 pounds on the bench press to 300 pounds on the bench press. Relatively, that's a big friggin' leap. Yeah. And so in the beginning, like, you got to think about this as relative and as percentages of like, hey, what percentage of my body fat did I lose? That's a better gauge if you're gonna go by the scale. Or the other thing that we talk about is look for other markers of your progress besides just the scale, because we've talked about you can lose fat, and particularly if you're trying to gain muscle, the scale may not move at all, especially at the beginning. Right. Like if you've never lifted weights before, like heavy weights, you're going to put on some muscle pretty quick. Like you're going to put on a pound of muscle a month oftentimes or more. Like it can happen pretty quickly if you're new to this. And so the scale may not move very much at all. But are your measurements going down? Do you notice a difference in your progress photos? Do you notice a difference of how your clothes fit? Right? Pants don't lie. You put on pants don't lie. You put on a pair of pants that, oh, these fit better than they did the last time I put them on. No, well, they didn't change. If anything, they got smaller because you put them in the dryer, right? Like they're definitely not bigger than they were the last time you put them on. Yeah. So these are put all of that together to tell a whole story of your progress. If we boil it down to one raw number, how much did I lose on the scale? We can oftentimes be discouraged because it's not as much as we think we ought to, or the messaging has gotten to us that we think we should. Lose 15 pounds in 4 minutes with my Ab Blaster protein packed shake workout.
And that's exactly what it is. We've always been, think of all the commercials that you see that are about weight loss, this new GOLO thing that I'm seeing all over the commercials. They never talk about percentage of body weight they've lost. They always talk about the raw number of how many pounds they've lost, which is what all of us as women have been taught for our entire lives. I remember I was in 4th grade and we had to get weighed in front of our classmates. I still don't know why, but they called out the numbers. And they weren't talking about like my height versus my friend Chantel's height. I was much taller than her, so I weighed more than her, but I remember being so humiliated because my number was 3 pounds higher than hers. Jeez. And it had nothing to do with
things
my
that
body
used to be okay that are not okay anymore.
I know. The 80s were wild, man. Yeah. They were wild.
Wild times.
Wild times in the 80s. Oh, God, I'm old. Holy crap.
Don't go there. Don't come back to me. Don't go there.
All of these diet plans or nutrition plans, they talk about weight in those raw numbers. So I think that that's where the shift lies for a lot of us, is getting away from that and looking at percentages. Not that I love a lot of it, but that was the one thing about Weight Watchers when, again, I did this 20 years ago, that they had a big celebration when you hit your 10%. Because they're like, this is a big thing.
That's huge. Really interesting. Yeah. So that's really cool. And I know that Weight Watchers does that. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, honestly, as you're saying it and as I'm thinking about it, like, I do it because it's simpler, right? We understand it a little bit better. But like, again, I can say, like, I have a client who is like, oh, he lost 50 pounds or something like that. But the guy had 150 to lose, as an example. Right. And I don't actually have a client like this. I'm just giving an example. Right. So it's not the same thing. And also, like, the rate that guy's going to lose it at is going to be much faster than the person who's within 10 pounds. So I have a client who, honestly, I've talked to her about this. Like, she may never actually go down on the scale. Like, I think in her head, she's another one of these people who thinks that she would like to be, 7 to 10 pounds lighter than she is. But I'm like, to get to where you want to be, like, you're probably right at around maybe 2-3 pounds, but you're right around the weight, like, in terms of what you're looking for based on your height that you would be really happy at. It's just a matter of changing your body composition. And so for her, she hasn't lost any weight on the scale, but her clothes are fitting better.
Yeah.
And then I had a client who the scale weight went up, but she had lost like 10 inches. And another coach was like, oh, you probably need to change your nutrition. I'm like, she's lost 10 total inches, like 4 inches off her waist. And because the scale went up a pound in 2 weeks, we're like, it's not working? Are you kidding me? Like,
this is just using the one data point. Again, we all do it. We look at that one data point as the be all end all, and it's not. But it's like retraining how we think about everything. And that's tough. That's a lot to ask. It
is 100%. I have more that I could talk about with this, but I want to make sure we get to the other. We got to get to 3. We're running out of time. Got a hard stop here. We got to make this happen. So, number 3, again, mentality wise. Okay. And number 3 and 4 are related. So I'm going to kind of do them both sort of together. You have something that men do not have. A menstrual cycle. You have a lot of things that men do not have. You have a menstrual cycle. You have a menstrual cycle, right? Because you have other things that men don't have, right? You have a menstrual cycle. And so this impacts our mentality and our ability to do this 2 ways. First way, let's stick with the scale piece for a second. First way, menstrual cycle, hormones going all over the place over the course of this. That causes your weight to fluctuate due to water weight. It has nothing to do with whether or not you could be flawless with your calorie deficit, with your protein, with your steps, with your workouts, with your sleep, with your water, with all of it, with your stress management. Everything else is great, and the scale could still go up depending on where you are in your cycle. It just is the way that it works, and that is freaking infuriating because it feels like
it's magical.
Yes. I have I have clients who do this, but I have one client who it's even more dramatic. And for her, she's like, I feel like I can only lose weight 2 weeks out of every 4 because the other 2 weeks, the scale's going to go up no matter what I do. And so then if for some reason during the 2 weeks where the scale takes the dip, she has other reasons why the scale might pop up because she got poor sleep or she was sick or whatever reason, then she's like, I got to wait another month to see where I'm at with progress. That's you almost need the perfect storm of everything working right to see the dip on the scale go down. You need all of the things to be lined up for multiple days in a row. I had my normal amount of carbs, normal amount of salt, normal amount of calories. I didn't eat much later than normal, so I'm not holding on to extra stuff. I had good sleep, good water, everything. Oh, I did everything great, like exactly right for 4 days in a row. And it's the right time of my cycle for all of the water to make its way out of your system and to see that. So this is why, again, we don't want to put too much stock in the number, okay? Too much stock in the number to try to look at the whole picture. But also it can be super discouraging to look at the scale and see the number go up, particularly if you're like, I did everything right yesterday. What in the hell is going on? Like, this is trash. I might as well not even bother.
Yeah.
Because it's not working. It's clearly not working because...
And your emotions are out of whack, so you're going to listen to yourself
100%.
and like, believe in yourself when you're saying, I suck at this.
Yeah.
Because your emotions are everywhere. And that's when we do quit things.
And that's the confirmation. That's the confirmation. Yeah. Like, the data is telling me that I'm not doing it. So why am I working hard at this? I might as well. And then this is going to pair with the next thing. Also during this time, cravings are a real thing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that.
Yes, they are.
Right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're not a real thing. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But when you are feeling discouraged, paired with, I have a gajillion cravings, screw it. I might as well just eat what I'm craving because this isn't working. It isn't working. And this is where we lose it. Because then a week and a half, and then you start to feel a little bit better, like yourself, and you're like, all right, get back to it. But now, you know, half or a third of your month is counteracting what you're doing the other days. Like, you can't make progress that way.
You're hitting the reset button every 28 days.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't make progress that way. Now, there are some strategies to deal with the cravings. We'll talk about that in a second. But from the mental perspective, looking at the scale, this is where we got to get to. We have to get to the point where the scale is a data point, and this is challenging, right? But the scale is a data point, but you know before you step on the scale whether or not you lost fat the day before. So the scale, and so then you can look at the scale and you can see why, and you can ask the question, why might it be up? So this is going back into what are the benchmarks that cause me to lose fat? There's really 4 things, right? Did I lose fat yesterday? This is the question. Did I lose fat yesterday? Was I in a calorie deficit? Did I eat enough protein? Did I walk my amount of steps that I was supposed to? And did I sleep? Those 4 things, if you do those 4 things, guaranteed you lost fat. I don't care anything else. Now, then you can step on the scale because you checked it off the night before. Did I lose fat yesterday? Yeah, I did. I lost fat today. So then it doesn't matter what the scale says, because then you can step on the scale and you can be like, I know I lost fat, or I was at maintenance, right? If you were at maintenance, you didn't gain fat. Maintenance is maintenance. You stayed the same. And even if you went a little bit above, right? Let's say that, let's take Hallie, for instance. Let's say 2,000 for ease of numbers. 2,000's where she maintains. 1,500's what she's shooting for. And let's say that one day, it was crazy. It was her birthday. Oh my goodness. Woo! And she had cake and a couple of drinks, and she had, and pizza. Crazy girl.
No.
She went all the way up to 2,300 calories for the day. So disappointed in Hallie. All the way up to, she's over maintenance. Over
Celebrate
maintenance.
yourself, Hallie.
800 calories more than she was trying to eat in a day. 300 calories over maintenance. 300 calories over maintenance is literally less than 1/10 of a pound.
Yeah.
Less than 1/10 of a pound.
Celebrate.
Less than 0.1 pounds that she gained yesterday. Even if she went all the way up to 2,500, that is 1/7 of a pound. 0.15 pounds. The scale, though, is probably going to read like 3 or 4 pounds up because
think about how much salt is in all of that.
Salt, carbs.
Yeah.
She probably didn't sleep as great because she had the alcohol.
Oh, God.
All of these things. The scale's going to be way, way up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that she gained fat or
Right.
gained significant amounts of fat. She didn't gain 4 pounds of fat overnight. To gain 4 pounds of fat overnight, she would have to eat 14,000 calories above maintenance.
Well,
Do you know how much food 14,000 calories is?
roughly one Sunday at the Deerfield Fair.
For anybody who doesn't live in New Hampshire, that doesn't make any sense. But you can imagine a Sunday at fair. Yes. Really ridiculous. So you have to kind of have those check marks. Did I do it? So then it doesn't matter what the scale says.
Right.
So then the craving side of things. This is where we need to not fight ourselves. Okay? Just embrace the fact that a few days out of the month, you're going to have cravings. And trying to just white knuckle your way through it is not going to work. And also feeling bad for having cravings is ridiculous. Cravings in and of themselves are not bad. It's a feeling, right? You can feel whatever the hell you want to feel. Like your body just feels it. Feelings in and of themselves are not good or bad. They're just feelings. It's how we I can be angry and that's okay. But if I take my anger out and punch somebody, that's not okay. How we respond to our feelings is what determines what happens. Now, this is where I'm not asking you to push those feelings down, right? Embrace them. Admit the fact, hey, you know what? I'm going to have some cravings today. I'm going to have some cravings for a couple of days, right? Your cravings are bad for like 3 days, usually. 3 or 4 days out of the month. 3 or 4 days out of the month, even if it's 7 days out of the month where you go up to maintenance. I'm not saying you go over maintenance. I'm saying you go up to maintenance. If you're Hallie, go up to 2,000 calories and give yourself that extra 500 calories for the thing that you're really craving, right? Don't get the poor man's chocolate, right? Get the real chocolate, right? Get the real stuff. Still try to get your protein in, right? You can adjust some of your calories throughout the day to give yourself a little bit more room, but you could have a full pint of Ben & Jerry's if that's what you're really looking for. I'm not recommending it, but let's just say that that's what you want, right? That's what you're craving. If I'm at 1,500 calories, I can find a few hundred calories in my day by just adjusting it because I know I'm going to really crave it, and then I'm going to give myself the extra 500. Now I'm at or right around maintenance, and I could have exactly what I'm craving. Okay? The idea that I can go up to there, right? Give yourself the grace, because again, let's go 28 days, and let's say that I'm averaging 500 calories a day for my deficit. Trying to be simple with the math here. 2,000 calories is maintenance, 1,500 calories is my goal. Right there we're at. Boom. 500 calories a day, 7 days a week is 3,500 calories in a week, which is about a pound. If so that would mean over the course of 4 weeks, that's 4 pounds, which is a reasonable, sustainable rate of fat loss. 4 pounds in a month. If 7 days out of the month, I went all the way up to maintenance at 2,000. I didn't go necessarily above it, but I went up to maintenance. All that means is I went from 4 pounds down to 3 pounds. I still lost 3 pounds in the month.
I think it's still a reasonable amount.
It's still progress, but I'm also not killing myself because the idea that I'm going to just white knuckle my way through it because then at some point you can't, you boil over and you overcompensate, and that's where you go above maintenance, and then you say, well, I threw it out the window. This whole period cycle's off. Now it's 4 days of going over maintenance. That is going to counteract your progress.
Yeah.
So steer into it. Embrace the fact that this is a reality, and give yourself the couple of days. Like, pick the things, look forward to it.
Yeah.
Be like.
I've started. I know this is so. Like, I've had a lot of experience. I'm 42, so I've lived through these cycles for quite a while. What you had said about the don't give in to the poor man's version of it. Prepare for it. You're gonna have the cravings. They usually are around the same thing. Like for me, it's always chocolate. And I have a piece of chocolate every day, but that's just because that's who I am and I need it. But I don't go and buy like Snickers bars and eat an entire Snickers bar. I'll go out and get. You've probably seen them at like White Heron Tea, the Enna chocolate bars. They're like $9 each, and they're this big, but they are incredible. But they're $9. So the mathematical, budgety side of me is like, this is going to last me a month because it has to. So I break off little teeny pieces, and that's all I need. I need one taste of the chocolate, and then that's all. Like that for me, that hits the craving. I don't need to go and eat an entire Snickers bar to hit the craving. So I don't know. That's how I've approached it for myself, is getting a nicer thing so you can have less of it because you don't need as much. I think the reason people overindulge on Halloween candy is because it's not the quality that they're looking for. It sucks. So you have to have like 12 Reese's peanut butter cups to satisfy the sugar craving that you want, when really like a really good quality piece of something else, but small, would have taken care of it.
If I want pizza and somebody offers me cauliflower pizza because it's less calories, I'm still going to want pizza afterward. Because it's not friggin' pizza.
That's not hitting the craving.
It's not pizza. Like, just you're better off, because I didn't really save a ton, right? And so then I still have to go get the real thing. So you're better off just getting the real thing, but planning for it. Let it be an intentional part of it, and then move on the next day. This is true for everything, but particularly when it comes to cravings, right? These are real things. So the 4 things that we talked about at this point are, right, it's you're smaller. So what do we do about this? We got to build muscle by eating protein, lifting heavy things, and then you can also increase your metabolism by walking more. Number 2 is it's all relative, so you got to have better benchmarks than just the raw numbers on the scale. Measurements, progress photos, how your clothes fit. All right? Don't be beholden to the weight fluctuations on the scale, particularly during your menstrual cycle and those fluctuations, by giving yourself a checklist. Did I lose fat yesterday? I don't care what the scale says. And number 4, steer into your cravings. The couple days a week going up to a couple days a month going up to maintenance is not going to derail your progress. One salad doesn't make you fit, just like one piece of pizza does not make you fat. Okay, it's what you do in the aggregate. Okay. The last one is where I want to, so this is bonus number 5, and we are tight on time here. So I'm going to do this, but this is going to wrap us up here. So this is not universal. Okay. And but this is anecdotally one of the experiences that I have seen from a lot of people. And I experience it a little bit as, again, the primary caregiver for my family during this current season. Most women are the primary caregivers for their kids. If you have kids, you're primary caregiver, or you have more things going on. You got more things going on. It's very easy to put yourself on the back burner because you're caring for everybody else, right? On Tuesday, I was supposed to work out in the morning, but I had to come back here and move all the kids around because there was a hiccup with that. Then I had a backup plan for the middle of the afternoon, but I had to go pick up one of the kids early. So then I ended up having to do my workout at 8:30 at night after everybody went to bed. That's not a lot of fun. And that was not a great workout. I was tired. I cut it short because it was freaking late at night. And I wake up at 5 a.m. Like, I was like, this is just I'm not going balls to the wall here.
Yeah.
This is the case, right? We can oftentimes put ourselves on the back burner, and that's not always fathers tend to have a little bit more. Again, I'm being very blanket statement here, but this is, I think, going to resonate hopefully with some people. If this doesn't resonate with you, ignore it, skip to the end. Great for you. But if it is, I think this is the story of a lot of people. Guys have their routine, right? They're going to do their thing, right? I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to the gym. But moms are oftentimes, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get the kids out the door, I'm going to, move things around. I got to go to the grocery store, I got to cook the dinner, I got to do all these things. And it's very easy for the things that you're trying to do to fall down the priority list a little bit. And so my encouragement for you is this: taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is actually selfless, because you show up as the better version of yourself when you're taking care of yourself.
100%.
It's like the Snickers commercials. You're not you when you're hungry, right? Like you're the phrase that I hear, I'm not the mom I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm not the mom I always imagined I would be. I don't have the energy. I don't feel good about myself. I don't want to be in the pictures. all of these things that we've talked about that are like, hey, these are really painful things.
Mm-hmm.
Investing in yourself, taking the time to take care of yourself with a workout, with a walk, with all of these things, asking for what it is that you need in terms of help so that you can do it, because your husband wants to help. He
Mm-hmm.
wants to help for the most part, right? Again, I'm assuming, but most husbands want to help. Most husbands want you to feel better. We're problem solvers, generally.
Yes.
There's a problem.
You are.
Problem solving, right? We're in problem solving mode. You say,
Always.
I have a problem. He's going to solve the problem. Just put it out there as a problem. Even if you have the solution, he's going to spend all the time figuring out what's the solution. If he isn't,
he'll
then
feel so good about himself.
yeah. If he's not, right, then you have to have a different conversation. You got to ask for help outside of that, right? And I'm not going to assume anything about your relationship, but generally this is the case.
It's really freaking smart. Pose it as, here's my problem, honey, and
Fix
let
it.
them come up with a
your help.
solution.
I need your help.
Yep.
He's going to feel
Even
like
though you already know exactly what you need and you know how to steer that conversation.
he's going to feel like a superhero.
Absolutely.
He's going to feel like a friggin' superhero, and he's going to be like, oh, man. And it's not even going to be something hard.
No.
Like you can ask him, and he's going to feel like, oh, man, I am such a contributor.
I'm having such a hard time getting my steps in. I just can't figure out how I can fit it all in. Well, honey, how about you take the dog for a walk and I'll stay home and start dinner.
Yeah.
Great. It's a great idea.
Great idea. Okay. So this is those types of things, right? Asking for the help and recognize that it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It's positively investing in yourself, and your kids are going to reap the benefit of it. The people around you, not just your kids, are going to reap the benefit of it, because you are going to be more present as the person that you want to be when you feel better about yourself and you're doing the things that you need to do. So take the time to take care of yourself.
Well said, sir.
I think that's it. We blazed through the end there, but any last minute thoughts?
Would it really be us if we didn't get off track at the beginning and then have to
Well, we had to introduce you to the world because this was our first one. So
this was our first one.
This
Never
was
done
our
this
first
before.
one that everybody else is gonna listen to. I was like super stressed. I was checking to see that this was recording like every 30 seconds throughout this whole thing. I was like, do both of us still have the recording number little icon up there? We're good. Hypothetically, we're good. Okay. I feel pretty good about it. But this was a great episode. I really appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate you coming on. If you liked this, if you liked this format, if you liked Amy, send me a message. If you didn't like Amy,
everyone likes me. Come on, I'm likable.
You are likable, which is why you're here. But yeah, questions, things that you want us to talk about, anything like that, would love to hear from you all. But again, this is going to be kind of the direction we're going to go in from here forward, and we'll be back with another episode, which will probably be what we talked about in our first episode on the next episode of whatever we decide to call this podcast. This is clearly very well put together, but
absolutely,
hopefully there's a lot of value in here for you. There is hope. Oh, the last thing I wanted to say is this, and this was I forgot that I wanted to say this. All of these are challenges for women. Mm-hmm. I almost forgot to say this. All of these are challenges for women. But in my experience, women who fight through these things and stick with it oftentimes have better long-term success than their male counterparts who lose weight really, really quickly, because they don't have to do the hard things as hard oftentimes as the women do. And I give this analogy. Take coal, apply a lot of pressure for a long period of time. That's how you get a diamond. All right? It doesn't happen without pressure, and it doesn't happen quickly. All right? Quick does not necessarily mean better. All right? Just keep swimming. Thanks for listening.
Just keep swimming.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.